Everyone, welcome to the HONK Live Show.
Welcome to June. It's Wednesday, June 8th. Is that right?
What song is it, Dennis? It sounds familiar.
This is a very old song, as you were just telling me.
What kind of dance do you do to the safety dance? I literally don't want to. If Angela Roper was here, she could show us how to dance to this. I'm sorry.
So this is the safety dance by Men Without Hats.
Right?
Because, can you tell us why? Maybe you have a good guess, Shelly?
I don't know. Hey, Quinn, how's it going? Hey, Romeo. Tell me more about the safety dance. I was getting in the groove.
It's June, and June is National Safety Month.
What does ERSCA stand for, Dennis?
The Emergency Road Service Coalition of America.
I just want to plug that in there right now.
Right now.
Quinn said ERSCA is in the house. June
ERSCA is in the house.
Yes. June is Safety Month.
Yes, June is National Safety Month, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We are going to talk about safety.
Yeah.
Hey, John, what's going on? So we just got back. I feel like I literally just got off the plane like an hour ago. We just got back from the Estra New York Tow Show in Lake George, New York.
And then we're headed to Detroit on Friday.
And yes, we'll be headed back out to
how's it going?
Frankenmuth, Michigan for the Michigan Tow Picnic.
It will be. Brent Baker, we're excited to be up there with your crew,
yes.
The EPA, Mr. Joel Ballard, Cedric, thanks for hopping on.
You got Renee in the house. What's up? I know that guy.
Yeah. AW, how's it going?
Got a whole bunch of folks joining us. So
Lake George, fantastic, amazing tow show. That show is getting bigger every year now that we've kind of come around from the whole COVID situation. Our Canadian friends to the north of Lake George are coming back. A lot more vendors, so it was a fantastic show.
Yeah, huge shout out to new president Bob Gorman and Melissa Perlow and the whole Estra team over there. They did an amazing job at putting that show together again.
For sure.
So, Shelly, we got a lot of new people joining us, and we haven't done this in a while. This is our June 8th episode, but we do this every couple of weeks or so. Shelly, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our people here that may or may not know you?
I sure will. We've got Annabelle, Adam, and Juan that have just joined us. JCS Roadside.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Yes, in Wisconsin. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm all excited now because Wisconsin people are here. Super cool. My name is Shelly Hawkins, and I've been in the towing industry since 2008, working for AW Direct and Zips on the supply side for rigging and accessories, selling those to a lot of folks out there coast to coast. And then I came to HONK in 2020 to work with them and work on the folks that are a part of their network and the product team, and just really do anything and everything that's needed here and be the advocate or the ambassador for the towing industry at HONK. So that's a real short version. Alan is here, Angela's here, Austin's here, Daniel is here. Wow, Dennis, they just keep coming in.
They just keep rolling in. I love it.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We're excited for you to be here. Dennis, tell us about yourself.
So you'll have to forgive me. I'm a little congested. The pollen up in New York got the best of me. But it's
a baby. I hear a baby. Are you crying, Dennis?
Wow. Nick from Perfect Tow in Orange, New Jersey.
Nick.
Yeah, we got a lot of folks rolling in. So
Gustavo, thank you for being a partner for us since 2018. Awesome. Hi, Amandu.
The reason I love the Estra New York show so much is because I've been attending the Estra Tow show for close to 15 years now. My background is in the towing industry. Yes. I started off as a dispatcher over at Mike's Heavy Duty Towing in Brooklyn, New York. Worked my way up through the ranks and kind of did just a little bit of everything with those guys. I've got experience light, medium, heavy towing, recovery. One of the stories I love to tell people here that really throws them for a loop is that I've been involved in the transport of everything from a golf cart to an MD-88 commercial airliner. So you can check my Instagram for pictures of that.
For sure.
I'm also a RecMaster certified operator. My certification's a little out of date. It's been a little while, but I am a level 4 or 5 operator. And our guests this evening are actually heavily involved in that. You want to give it away, or should we make them wait a second?
I say give it away.
Give it away. Okay. Well, we got some special guests to talk safety tonight. One of them is lead instructor Casey Burrows of RecMaster.
Yes.
And Casey's been with that agency for forever, several years, and we'll bring him on, and we'll bring them on in just a minute or two. We've also got Dalan from the Energy Security Agency. We're going to talk about. I'm so sorry. I'm getting a little.
Go ahead. You do it.
I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can.
Until we know you're excited. We're excited. We're here. ESC is a great partner.
So
Grace is here. Al is here. Yeah, we're excited for all you guys to be here.
And like Quinn said, my face is actually on Erskine Literature. So if you want to stop by, we'll be at the Texas Tow Show in 2 weeks in Fort Worth. You can stop by the Erskine booth, pick up a pamphlet, and then stop by the HONK booth. I'll be happy to autograph it for you.
And stop by Quinn Pining at Erskine's booth. Also, Quinn's going to be autographing. I don't know.
And yes, my most recent certification was with Erskine as well. I took their heavy winching class, and training is always important, no matter what agency you get it from. There are a lot of great training agencies. We don't support just one here. We support them all because we think they're all doing amazing things. But without further ado, I say let's bring on these awesome gentlemen and let's get their stories and let's get started.
Kick it off. Sheldon Rushing has joined us, KR Towing. Hey, buddy. Otto, hello. Thank you guys for joining us. And we have Dalan and Casey Burrows joining us. Thank you, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening. This guy's got a better radio voice than me.
I know. Look at his setup. His setup is just like so professional. It's fantastic.
So, Casey, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to those that may not know you here?
All right. Well, good. It's if you don't know me yet, it's probably better for you.
Where are you at, first of all, Casey? Where are you at tonight? Where are you
I am in Sligo, Kentucky.
Yes, you are.
If you don't know exactly, it's New Sligo Dam Township, but you're not going to find that on any specific map. But here in Sligo, Kentucky, we're about halfway between Louisville and Cincinnati on I-71. My family has owned a business here since 1917. Mm-hmm. My great-great-great-grandfather started a business as a blacksmith shop right here in Little Sligo, Kentucky, with his two sons, Jesse and Howard. And since then, we've adapted to the changing needs of transportation. As trucks got bigger, well, so did we. And I've spent my whole life in towing and recovery. And like our other guest there, Dalan, I had a background in fire service, and that's, I'm sure we'll talk about that more in a bit, but that's how Dalan and I originally got connected several years ago. But towing and recovery has been my whole life, and it has supported my family, and it's something I'm truly, truly passionate about. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, that got me into Wreckmaster. I'm currently a lead instructor with Wreckmaster, and I enjoy this line of work so much that I thought, you know what, if there's any part of it that I'm really good at, I want to be able to share that with my fellow colleague who's out there in the ditch with me. And if I can make their life easier, if I can make their life safer, well, I think that's a bigger reach, partnering with a company like Wreckmaster, where my voice can be heard by guys like me who are in the ditch doing the job. If I can save a life, if I can help a friend and pass along some good information, well, this is such a tremendous platform built on excellence and safety that I'm extremely proud to be a part of. So I've been a Wreckmaster instructor for the last 2.5 years now, and just really enjoy the travel and getting to meet some really, really high quality people who are way smarter than me. So that's my goal, is every day to learn something from somebody new. And so far, I've been doing pretty good at that.
Fantastic. I love it. The last time I had lunch with Casey in Kentucky, we enjoyed a hot brown. I said, what is the deal here in Kentucky? He said, well, you got to get the hot brown.
You had to get the hot brown. We were at Claudia Sanders. And
yes, that was fantastic.
I had the chicken livers, right?
You did. And I'm a huge fan of chicken livers. Grew up on them in the mountains of Virginia. So it was a great meeting you, for sure.
Sounds like a really Kentucky thing.
Yeah, well, come to Kentucky, get a hot brown. You will not be disappointed, I promise. And maybe bourbon after dinner. So.
He sent me home with some.
Now you're speaking my language.
He sent me home with some chocolates. He sent me home to Virginia with some chocolates that may or may not have had bourbon in them.
I remember. Yeah, I do.
So, Dalan, how about you? How about you tell us where you come from and who you are and what you're doing here?
Yeah, my name's Dalan Zartman. I am a 20-plus, almost at the end of my career, 24-year career veteran of the fire service. I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps before I did that.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I met Casey. Actually, we were co-delivering a heavy extrication rigging and lifting course. So we were doing all the fire and technical rescue side instruction on heavy rigging. And I will never, ever, ever do any of those classes. We teach internationally. So we travel around the world and teach technical rescue classes. That's anything that has to do with swift water, flood water, scuba diving, high angle rope, confined space, structural collapse, trench collapse, vehicle machinery. In any of those disciplines is what we do. And I met, oh, there we go.
There goes
Everybody's got tornado warnings.
Yeah. I'm going to mute here for just a second.
Yeah. So Casey and I met in a class, and I never do those classes without a really dialed in heavy operator. We always use a heavy operator to back up all the moves that we make. And we have run around really attentively listening to tow operators throughout my career. I think that you learn so much from industry guys that are strong practitioners in all those disciplines. So first and foremost, I'll apologize to the tow community if you've had any interactions with arrogant firemen that don't want to hear what you guys have to say. But I'll tell you, that's not us. I love learning from industrial practitioners that are dialed in and know what they're doing. So yeah, that was our primary background. In regards to what we're going to talk to tonight with EV safety, about 7 years ago, we got engaged in a really weird way. We just kind of stumbled into it with burning lithium-ion batteries. This was part of a big global project that was connected to State of New York, NYSERDA, and Con Edison. And I'll save you the long story and just flash forward to where it is today. We run the world's largest large-scale destructive testing lab for lithium-ion batteries. So we test batteries that go in oceanic tankers and naval battleships all the way down to small drones. We shoot them, crush them, burn them, penetrate them, tear them apart, and then we actively suppress them, analyze everything there is to analyze about them. So where Casey and I and ESA and RecMaster are partnering is we have created a new segue company called the Energy Security Agency, and we're working hand in hand to try and have a really quick and really heavy impact on everyone in the the downstream effect that touches hybrid and electric vehicles. We're trying to get everybody up to speed on how to do it safely and how to make sure that they can manage these things, because they're here. They're coming like a wave, and there's going to be more and more of them every day on the roadway. So that's kind of me and Casey's new mission. We're trying to attack every segue we can with as much good messaging as we can.
All right. Well, two things really fast. Number one, Dalan, I know you know this. Do you know why God made tow operators?
I'm excited to do anything.
Oh, this is going to be a good one.
I died to hear this one. Let's hear it.
Well, because firemen need heroes too. And the other thing is, the only reason RecMaster is involved with ESA is because Dalan personally promised me that I would get to blow up some batteries.
Deal, buddy. That's right.
So, Dalan, if you were working with Con Edison, I was probably one of the guys that was out there messing stuff up on their trucks back in the day. So you're welcome. We've got to get through a couple comments here. I know there's hundreds of comments coming in all over the place.
We do see your comments, and we're not ignoring your comments. We're just kind of doing the intro right here.
Yeah, just real quick, a couple people I want to shout out. We've got John Dewey's in here. We've got Derek Eden here. We've got Kurt Palmer in here. We've got all sorts of people popping in here. Just want to say hello to everybody. If you have questions about HONK in general, head over to joinhonk.com. There's a help button where you can ask direct questions about things that we do, how we operate, things like that. Tonight's episode is all about safety, making sure our team and our operators are all going to be safe out there and making sure everybody goes home on time every day.
Love it. Because June is safety month.
And yeah, sometimes we laugh and joke, but this is an important topic. We are here, like I said, to make sure that everybody goes home every night, all the time.
Pause. We have to pause, Dennis.
We have to pause.
McKinley Manuel, Montgomery, Alabama, Julia's Towing, because we have a wonderful person that works in our marketing department that's helping us out this evening producing our show. Her name is Julia. So we have someone from Julia's Towing. I love it. Fantastic. Continue on.
So safety is important. We talk all sorts of safety. Earlier today, Shelly and I worked with John Golden from Wheeling, the light bar manufacturer that you may know, the lighting extraordinaire manufacturer that most of our folks will know them as the manufacturers of their light bars and lighting equipment. But we had a great episode with him earlier today, so you can check that out. Probably next week that'll be ready to go.
It'll drop on the 14th.
Thank you. Somebody knows. I don't know.
I know. I'm your producer. Like, you said it earlier.
But back to these fine gentlemen. So, like Dalan was just saying, we're entering a new world these days. We're entering the world of electric vehicles. Hybrid vehicles are much more prevalent than they were these days. And you folks are doing some really quality training, from what I've heard. There's some folks in our comments that have already been shouting you out. Angela Roper has been commenting on every one of our posts, talking about how great of a partner you are for the Arizona Towing Association and all of her associations.
I've got to give a quick shout out to Angela. Yes, Angela is one of our favorite partners as well, and has done a tremendous amount to try and help advance EV safety within all her networks and all her reaches.
She's precious. We love her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So, top of line, what is the most important thing folks should know about dealing with hybrids and electrics today?
Casey, you want to kick that off, or you want me to kick it off, buddy?
Well, the way I'll kick it off is that, this is a really, it's a new avenue of towing and recovery is hitting the industry. And there is so much misinformation out there. I mean, for instance, I was looking up some tow procedures. So you type in how to tow an all-electric vehicle. You choose which make or model it is. And the first thing that's going to pop up is, what's its tow capacity? Can it easily tow a boat? What's the range of the vehicle? So it's nothing to do with towing. And then the next thing that pops up, if you search a little farther, is how can I tow this EV behind my recreational vehicle? So basically flat towing an EV. Mm-hmm. And I imagine that Dalan's already starting to prickle a bit, because when we talk about rolling all the wheels of an EV down the road, I've learned enough from Dalan to know that if the conditions aren't perfect, we've got some major problems. So with that being said, there is so much, I don't want to say misinformation, because I'm really not smart enough to call that out yet. But there is a tremendous amount of information that is not specific to the towing and recovery operator and how to safely do their job. And that's why at Wreckmaster, we have partnered with ESA. Because me, a lifelong towing and recovery operator, this is new to me. I'm beginning to learn it, but ESA has gotten a head start. Guys like Dalan saw this trend coming and have applied their tremendous intellect and their vast resources to seeing what happens when you compromise a traction battery or a lithium-ion battery in the ways that we may see when one of these things crashes. And so I'm sure we'll go into more detail on it in a bit, but the hazards are pretty extreme when they happen. The good thing is they're relatively safe, but that does not exclude us from having to gain the knowledge and apply the correct techniques to these newer vehicles to transport or tow them safely. So that's why I think it's extremely important to partner with a subject matter expert, because I'm going to be the first guy to tell you, I don't know it all. And what I do know, I'm extremely passionate about. So as I'm able to learn from a really smart guy like Dalan and apply what he knows directly to the industry and the profession that I love, well, that's how we're going to hit the ground running. And at Wreckmaster, we're going to be delivering some really high quality and very specific information about EVs to the towing and recovery operator. Because at the end of the day, if we have a failure or we encounter or create a hazard while dealing with an EV, well, at the end of the day, the profit is gone, or we may put somebody's life in jeopardy or in harm's way. So that's why on the front end of this, we are preparing, we're learning, we're developing techniques and strategies. We're taking what we currently teach and we're evaluating. Is this particular technique or a bit of information, is it applicable for all vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, all the way through all the different makes and models of EVs. So in a nutshell, it's tremendous to have a partner like ESA and an extremely intelligent individual, one who's passionate about the fire rescue side of it and the technical rescue side of it, like Dalan. So that's my big thank you to my friend Dalan for being willing to share your knowledge and information with me, because that, I guarantee, we're going to save some lives with this information.
Thanks, buddy. And I'll tell you guys, we stay in our running lane. So, we're not going to pretend to be tow experts. That's why we come alongside and converge with other tow instructors and other tow agencies and tow trainers to say, help us understand your needs, your responsibilities, your focal points, and then we'll equip you with the piece of information we can to try and help make sure that you guys can do what you're going to do safely. And we're going to rely on you to help us understand how you need to do it. So if I were to pick up on your lead-in question of, what are the biggest things that I would convey to everybody? Number one, it would be every single EV and HEV is different. So you can even interact with the same, make, model, and year of vehicle, and it'd be different. So let's just say hypothetically, one day you guys go out and you go to rig a 2020 Model S, and it may be we'll just say theoretically, it could be a front wheel drive where you're going to have one motor in the front. The more accommodating manufacturers will allow consumers to spec those vehicles out, sometimes with an all-wheel drive application or a rear-wheel drive application. So in a period of 2 days or same day, you could interact with the same make, model, and year of vehicle, and it'd be configured completely differently. And that's going to change everything about where damage assessments can be, where your hazards can be, and how you're going to rig it and interact with it. So the follow-up to that is, this is not 15 years ago where we conveyed one message, which was don't touch orange cables and don't touch battery packs, right? This is a totally different concept now, which is understand that the entire vehicle is one big energized circuit, right? And if you have if you think about it from a basic electrical perspective, you have closed circuits and open circuits. Closed circuits, energy is going to be moving, and that energy can go places. And it can cause damages or abuses to the battery pack that the battery pack doesn't like. Lithium-ion batteries are amazing energy sources, right up to the point that you physically damage them, send the wrong kind of energy current to them, or provide the wrong environment for them, meaning too hot, too cold, or too wet. Now, you do any of those things to lithium-ion batteries, and that's when you see everything that you're seeing in the media with what we call thermal runaway events, where these things shoot out 8-foot blow torches of 4,000 degree Fahrenheit heat, and they can burn down entire parking garages in an hour if there's a bunch of them there. So you have to view these vehicles as tow operators from, what is damaged, and is that damage area, is it housing any kind of electrical component? Is it housing a DC to DC converter? Is it housing a power electronics controller? Is it housing a generator with supercapacitors in it? On the surface, you guys may say, I don't care, right? I don't want to know all these electrical circuit components and parts and pieces. And we would say, totally get it, understand, and you don't need to know necessarily the function of all those things, but you do need to know the locations of all those things, and you do need to evaluate whether or not they're damaged, because if they're damaged, you can create internal short circuits. And then that just leads to a whole lot of other questions, and answers that we get into in the training segue. The last key element that I would convey to everybody is there is a federal standard out there. If you haven't looked at it, if you haven't heard of it, if you're not aware of it, I'm gonna hopefully drop a bomb on you tonight about it. It's Society of Automotive Engineers, and it's SAE standard J2990. This standard outlines everything that first responders and tow and recovery professionals are expected to do when they interact with hybrid electric vehicles. It's a good standard. So, on the surface, we say, okay, if it's a good standard, then that's a great thing, because if we comply with it, it's going to keep us safe. On the flip side of that, what I want everyone to be aware of is what you know already in your head as you're hearing this, what happens when a standard comes out. So if there's a standard that's out and it's federal in nature, when you don't comply with the standard and things do go wrong, now you've got something that your choices are going to be measured against, right? Did you make the right choices? Did you comply with things? And if not, and that vehicle bursts into flames on the back of your tow truck, I promise you, your insurance companies, everyone else who's addressing the event after the fact, they're going to be the first ones to say, well, you didn't comply with the standard, right? So our mechanism at ESA that we're going to get into, we're doing a lot of dynamic direct delivery training and awareness courses with groups like RecMaster. But the most important piece I want to equip you guys with tonight is our call center. So 855 ESA SAFE. Go to our website, get enrolled as a partner. We have zero financial transaction with you, meaning we are completely free to you. You don't pay any money to us to use our service. You call us anytime, 24 hours a day. And on the other end of the line, it's not some offshore answering center. It is all rescue specialists that work at our battery site. So they're all battery experts. They will jump on the phone with you and they will help you comply with the standard. Okay. The standard requires that you do a risk assessment. It requires that you label the vehicle. It requires that you isolate in storage. It requires on and on and on and on. We can walk you through that process in about 5 to 10 minutes on the roadway, get you into the vehicle safely, tell you where the tow connections are, where the high voltage components are, how you shut the vehicle down and interact with it safely, and then hopefully get you on your way and on the road in a safe way and in a compliant way. The beauty of the end goal of that is, as long as your vehicle is insured, we will send you a dividend of $150 every time you initiate a call. So everybody always wonders, how on earth are you guys funded and how does this work? We were pressed into existence from federal agencies, NTSB, NHTSA, Department of Energy, Department of Transportation. They needed a mechanism that was going to manage where the current status is of the market today, right? This influx of EVs. So that's our job, is to try and create incentives and mechanisms to try and help everybody be safe and compliant. Hope that wasn't too much of a mouthful, Dennis.
Not at all. Like I said, I'm not feeling so great. So the more you talk, the better it is for me.
Tell us the phone number again, Dalan, and also give us the website again.
Yep, you got it. 855 ESA SAFE. The website is energysecurityagency.com. And if you guys click on risk assessments, you'll see 2 action buttons there for tow operators. Just fill out your information on there. And is all that does is put you in our queue so that when you call, we don't have to spend 5 minutes saying, who is this and what's your phone number and what's your email address. It just helps us have a database to be able to interact with you guys. And then if you want the dividend payments for initiating calls, then you just got to submit your tax form. That's it. There's other cool things on there. You can see our training courses, collaborative training courses. And then you'll also notice, if nobody's aware, I'm sure most of you guys are, emergency response guides and quick response guides. Those are reference sheets that detail where everything's at on EVs, where the high voltage components are, where the shutdowns are, how to gain access to them. We are housing the ERG library. We collaborate with NFPA and some other bodies that do that. And we've got a comprehensive library on there that's got both commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles. Totally free library, totally accessible. You guys just click on it, click your make, model, year, and you'll be able to see the schematics for where things are and aren't at on vehicles.
Perfect. Thank you for the resources. We had a couple questions come in. One is from Mr. Chris Young. Has it been mentioned paying mine to rolling vehicles with compromised components? Any quick answer on that one, Dalan?
Yeah, and then Casey can follow it up with the tow technique. So I'll just tell you guys what the problem is, and then Casey can talk about skates and other applications to be able to manage whether or not you're going to choose to rotate wheels. In a nutshell, what I would say to you guys is this: electric vehicles don't have a true neutral mode, right? The problem with an electric motor is whether it's a regenerative braking system or whether the vehicle is off, if auto park isn't engaged and the wheels are freely moving, when they move, they spin the electric motor in the reverse direction. When the electric motor spins in the reverse direction, it's going to attempt to send energy somewhere, right? Now in order for it to go back to the battery pack, it's got to go through a converter, and there's some other things. But what the potential is the development of heat. And again, if you guys remember what I alluded to really quickly in the beginning, it was basically voltage, right? Environmental conditions and physical damage. So voltage and amperage, it's going to send energy somewhere. It's going to be unregulated. It's not being managed by the car. And then it's building up heat because it's not going somewhere you want it to go. And that's where you can result in short circuits and bad reactions within the vehicle that can ultimately end up in some type of thermal runaway event. So excessive rolling of the vehicle. It's an absolute no-no. I mean an absolute no-no to tow vehicles as tow operators with any of the wheels rotating. The recommendation universally from all the OEMs is put it on a flatbed. If you have to, there's some basically some dolly options, but we're even seeing those kind of go away as an optional tool from a lot of the OEMs. So hopefully that answered your question. Most of the ERGs you'll reference actually give it a specific thing. They'll say don't ever roll a vehicle or pull a vehicle with rotating wheels more than 30 feet at any speeds greater than 3 to 5 miles an hour. That's typically the cap you'll see on those kind of movements.
And to reiterate what you said, all great information, Dalan. Thank you so much. But when in doubt and you're new to this, refer to the owner's manual. That's the best source of information of this vehicle. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that's challenging for you guys in the field because when if you do a Google search and like, okay, I need a 2020 Toyota Prius owner's manual. I mean, you might be leafing through 116 pages to get to the page that you're looking for about, well, do I need to shut the whole high voltage down and how do I do that? And then sometimes you'll see things in there that I don't want to say misleading, but they're somewhat dangerous in their presentation. For example, manual disconnects on batteries. A lot of the OEMs put service disconnects in there, how to pull a relay directly off the traction battery pack. Unless you look at it in detail and read the fine print, it just looks like big pictures that tell you how to do it. But the fine print basically says, don't ever do this unless you have FR clothing on, arc flash protection, an insulated glove. Don't touch the vehicle, otherwise you're going to complete the circuit. So basically what I can tell you guys is don't do manual disconnects without proper training and proper PPE, or you can very legitimately ride the lightning, right? You don't want to touch the traction battery pack and directly engage the battery pack without special equipment and guidance. So to answer your question, Shelly, we would encourage guys, that's the purpose of what we're trying to do. When you call us, we have single page references that we've created that are proprietary, that extract all the information you need to know about the vehicle. So you don't have to leaf through the 128 page manual. Instead, you just tell us what it is. And within, 30 seconds, we have all the info that you want to know about the vehicle.
So we have another great question that came in from Mr. Renee.
He's like to get a question and a comment. Hey, Mr. Brian Weber, one of my guys on here.
So Renee's question was, do we need a V-strap or chain bridle that will isolate the electrical current from the steel cables and onto a truck?
Oh, that's a great question. The great unknown is what has been compromised that would allow that current that's contained within the traction battery pack to make its way to the chassis. I'm thinking that if there were the potential for any of your metallic rigging components to conduct electricity into the winch line, you would have known it before you hooked it up. If that lithium-ion traction battery actually shorts or comes into contact with the chassis, you're probably going to notice a tremendous issue beforehand. So, I mean, maybe to bounce this back to Dalan, but when you begin to have that thermal runoff, so let me just address this real quick, and I'll get right back to the question. As it's just the layman, somebody walking up onto an incident involving an EV. What I learned most quickly and most relevant for Dalan is if you smell cherry bubblegum and you see steam colored smoke or white colored smoke, it's probably an indication that something is about to get really ugly with that EV. Dalan can go more into the fire science of why it smells like cherry bubblegum and why the smoke is white. But if any part of this high voltage system, so, we've got a bunch of tiny little battery cells that are linked in series to create higher voltage to run these electric motors under these cars. If any part of that high voltage system comes into contact with the chassis to create a chassis ground situation, which would have to happen for our rigging to be energized, then we're probably going to see a really bad hazard, or, the hazard is going to be visible before we even connect our rigging. Now, that's not to say that we couldn't compromise part of this, the high voltage system. Most of the high voltage conductors in the EVs are going to be tucked away into the structural pillars of the automobile, the A pillar and the B pillar, and then routed strategically through that automobile, because the manufacturer doesn't want them to come into contact with anything in their outside environment. The biggest issues that I think we're going to see as towing operators is we like low-hanging fruit. And when we've got an EV vehicle in the ditch, we want to get what's easy to get to. You know, if that's throw a rim sling through a wheel, or put a wheel wrap, put the wheel wrap hitch around a tire. There are things behind those tires and rims that we need to be concerned with, whether it's some sort of capacitor or the actual drive motor itself. There are things that we're not accustomed to seeing back there. I'm not trying to dance my way around the guy's question, but if I take it for the essence of the question, are we going to get shocked if we connect a piece of steel rigging to an EV? I think the answer is probably not, unless you see a tremendous short circuits type incident going on there, where it's presenting itself. You've got arc flash, or you've got hydrogen vapor coming out of this thing, or you smell that cherry bubblegum smell. That is not my primary concern. My primary concern when rigging to or moving an EV is if we have done like a stage 1 shutdown. We've basically pushed the on-off button. We've turned it off, just the same way you would do a traditional passenger car with a keyless entry nowadays. You just push the off button. When I begin rolling that, whether it's to roll it onto a carrier or winch it or roll it out of a ditch, am I going to re-energize that system? And if there's any defect at all in the EV system, is rolling those tires going to create almost a regenerative charging effect on that thing? And is it in the proper condition to be charged? So as I roll that vehicle or that casualty, am I charging its lithium-ion traction battery? And if I am, is it in a controlled state? And unless you have done the proper shutdown procedures, you really won't know that is the case.
Those are great points, Casey. And I would just, echo to the gentleman's question. Understand that EVs have redundancy upon redundancy. But there's a million safety valves in these. Okay. So within that circuit, when you have an event that creates that initial short circuit. So if we're talking about, a grounding effect, or, let's say you throw a big J hook into an area and you contact a conductor or some electrical element that creates an electrical interaction. That's going to be more like an arc event. You're going to see some welding effects. It's going to be really volatile. And then typically that's going to blow open all the relays, right? And now you have an open circuit, and now energy's not it would take something really unique and rare for that to sustain itself and be able to maintain an energetic reaction. The bigger problem, and we don't want to downplay the potential of electrical injury, but we want to very clearly say, all in all, EVs are designed to be incredibly safe. I would say the energy-based interaction, the fear of electrocution, the fear of contacting something with your rigging that's going to create an electrical event. If it does, it's going to be short-lived, kind of like Casey was alluding to, and it's going to have a consequence or a reaction or response, but it's not going to be as much about, a fear of electrocution as much as it would be about potentially creating short circuits and then just creating a bad interaction with the battery pack in some way, shape, or form. So, a lot of the guidance errs on the side of caution. If you can use synthetics, and non-metallic energizing types of rigging slings, then, obviously that's always going to be a better option. The application that you're rigging I think it supports itself well with synthetics as well. You're not using frame keys and going to, the traditional older methods of connecting to vehicles. Understand that all EVs basically have ice rinks underneath them. There's not a lot of traditional rigging underneath them. It's a really flat panel with very, very little access ports to get into things. Typically you're going around the suspension elements and the axle components to create connections to be able to move these things.
And Dalan, here's where the manufacturers are stepping in, and basically these are new chassis platforms that are developing. Some of the EVs that we're seeing are, either hybrid electric. We've not even discussed what the different types of EVs are, but to leave that conversation maybe for another time. A lot of the new strictly electric vehicles, the plug-in electric vehicles they're not built on their predecessors' chassis. So some of them are totally new chassis that really haven't been field tested to the degree that all of their predecessors had been. For an example, you take the new GMC Hummer EV.
I saw one yesterday.
Yeah, they're awesome. Not to mention they're extremely heavy. They're another 1,400 or 1,500 pounds heavier than their predecessor. Hummer is stating that the only way to load that casualty onto a carrier is to use their front-mounted D-rings. Now, that sounds extremely convenient. Who doesn't want to back up to a casualty and load it with these nice big shackles hanging right on the front end? But without getting too in-depth or too complicated, what we have to know is these casualties are heavier. And in order to prevent rotation of their tires, which is what the manufacturers are recommending, they don't want us rotating the tires as they're being winched or loaded. We've got to put them on skates. Either that or we have to drag them with all of the brakes locked. And if you're a wreck master, you know what that means. You're overcoming 2/3 of that casualty static weight just in resistance, not to mention the additional force it takes to move it up the grade, which is the car carrier, the flatbed that's tilted at an angle. So back to the Hummer specifically, when they stated that you have to use these front bumper mounted shackles or D-rings, now we're at a level of resistance that requires a minimum of 2 lines to the load. We have to incorporate a snatch block into that layup to not exceed the wire rope's working load limit. When you do that, now the distance between the winch and the snatch block becomes a factor. And then the angle between the bed and the connection point becomes a factor. So when you add up all of these things with the way the manufacturer is currently recommending that we load and secure a casualty, it's on the verge of becoming impossible. In another discussion, we could walk through every single inch and measurement and angle. But if you truly run the numbers and do the math on what it takes to stay within the working load limit of the rigging to load and secure one of the heaviest, albeit EVs right now, the GMC Hummer, you only have a 6-inch window on the back end of a 21-foot carrier to safely get that casualty completely onto the deck. And I know it's a long way around this conversation, but what I want to come back to is, with our current knowledge of what it takes to properly load an EV onto a carrier, we don't want the wheels to turn. To isolate each individual wheel means you have to have some kind of tool to prevent those wheels from turning. Good thing that I know about a couple of those. The Wreckmaster Skate is a tremendous tool for not only reducing the casualty's resistance, but if installed underneath a tire, you can prevent that tire from rolling. So it's going to, number one, reduce the amount of force that it takes to slide that casualty up onto a carrier deck, but it's also going to keep the wheels from turning, which could prevent either a backfeed of electrical power or some other issue within the EV's electrical circuit. So that's the first strategy towards safely transporting an EV is isolate the wheels. Don't let them turn. And if you're operating a carrier, utilize a set of skates. Anything that's going to bring the rubber off of the road and create a barrier that prevents the tire from turning is going to accomplish that. And the skate is the best option.
I want to add real quick to make sure that we're communicating clearly and make sure there's no misnomers too. I mean, the reality of trying to keep the vehicles fixed in an auto park feature and using skates is because it makes more sense for you guys as towers. There are options, right? So the manufacturers, a lot of them do have tow mode or neutral mode components that you can put the vehicles into. But when you try and apply that in the field, a lot of the EVs will auto discharge or auto dump the 12 volts when the airbag's deployed. So when you guys get on scene and you get ready to work on the vehicle, if the 12 volt is discharged, you don't even have the ability to engage the transmission because it's an electromechanical transmission, right? So you have to have 12 volt power to affect whether it's in neutral mode or tow mode, unless they have some manual over. It gets complex, right? So now you're dealing with a 10-minute interaction with the vehicle, just trying to figure out, how do I get the 12 volt re-energized? Where is the 12 volt? Is it a itty bitty little baby lithium ion 12 volt that's hidden somewhere? Are there two 12 volts? Some of the newer EVs now are running multi 12 volt systems. So you actually have two separate 12 volt systems running different components of the car. So now you got to figure out which 12 volt actually engages the electromechanical transmission. So based on the complexity of how do I gain control of the vehicle, put it into neutral or tow mode, good grief. If I need to move and I might need to get this vehicle rigged and on the back of my truck effectively, quickly, and efficiently, I'm a lot safer, a lot better off, and have a lot less hoops to jump through if I just keep it in auto park and use some friction resistors by using skate applications.
And the RecMaster skate, I think, really is just one of the coolest tools ever invented in this industry. I know before that we used to use before you guys branded it and made it, this really cool device that you can pick up at any tow show anywhere in the country. We use things like trays from fast food restaurants.
Yeah, So I mean, just to kind of bring this home to something. In my heavy duty knowledge, I mean, we've been here. Towers have been here in this same exact spot. Think about it. If you're a heavy operator, when the Volvo I-Shift transmission first came out, it took a few of us breaking those transmissions to learn you cannot tow those things 5 feet without causing catastrophic damage unless some exact circumstances are present. And so that forced a lot of companies, rightfully so, that we're not going to allow that drive shaft to rotate even 5 degrees before we pull the drive shaft. So that's kind of the situation we're in with EVs. We're at a point where there's so much nuance between manufacturers and models that for the towing operator to be well versed and know every condition that must be present to safely roll one, when a tool such as a skate or a strategy such as sliding the casualty versus rolling it exists, why wouldn't you just cut through the red tape, forget all of the I don't want to say that forgetting the shutdowns procedures is viable, but if we can just prevent the wheels from rolling when we load and unload an EV, well, there's a great resource and tool to do that, and I'll be happy to have that conversation about how to do it.
I love all this, and this is absolutely the reason why these folks can take the EV class. Can they take your class online, Dalan and Casey, or is it face to face? Are there any online classes available?
Yeah. Well, I'll speak to the RecMaster side of it. We just did the awareness level training, right, Dalan? Wasn't that the awareness level that we hosted on the RecMaster platform?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's there. We're going to begin tailoring that to something you can just purchase a la carte, where you can log in, purchase a tutorial that meets the awareness level stipulations. But right now, what's coming up on June 24th near my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky? Can everybody say Louisville?
Louisville.
I just say the Ville.
The Ville. There you go.
Thank you.
Louisville, Kentucky, June 24th. Dalan is going to be joining us down here.
Yes,
a RecMaster and ESA joint course on EV operations at my colleagues at Tony's Wrecker Service in Louisville, Kentucky.
Perfect.
That's the next opportunity to get some hands-on training for EVs.
So one thing I always kind of want to mention here, and this is in every EV conversation that we've had over the past few months and beyond, is this is slightly different from what towers have dealt with before, but it's not. It's just a new challenge. We had unibodies before this. We had 4x4s, all-wheel drives. It's not really any more complex than anything we've ever really dealt with before. It's just a different set of rules. It's just a different way to approach it, and having, making sure you have the right tools in your toolbox to handle that. So in the case of skates, that's one of the things that's important. Back to the four-wheel and all-wheel drive conversations. Carriers became more present. We went from wheel lift towing everything to now you needed a carrier in your fleet, or you needed dollies. Now I think the industry is starting to swing back a little bit more towards the dollies because of all these all-wheel drive vehicles and electronic parking brakes and things like that. But like I said, we like to say, and one of the things that I've always really been hard on is it's not really more complex, it's just different.
Right. And Dennis, to your point, I mean, we've got this saying within the walls of Wreckmaster, Terry Hummelstein, cover my heart every time I mention his name. I love the man. What was correct yesterday may be questionable today and wrong tomorrow.
Love it.
There are things that, like I opened up with, you go to Google and you look at strategies or recommendations for towing EVs, and it's going to run the gamut on what is out there as a recommendation. So we want to be on the forefront of giving quality information out to the towing operator. But at this point, Dennis, it is so different from model to model, manufacturer to manufacturer. So when we can identify strategies that work across the board, well, that's going to be our first goal. Now, do we have them all down pat? Do we know exactly what those strategies are going to be? Not in every case, but those are under development. And with partners like ESA, we are on the way to delivering some really high quality strategies to the towing operator. The mindful operator is going to look for strategies that work across the board. And I think that's where we're going to step in, and we're going to be a part of success for the towing operator.
That's a really good point. Go for it. We
Yeah,
got just a couple minutes left.
I just want to appeal to you guys real quick, just to say, I was reading some of the comments about, compression with time, and, if I'm in this circumstance, I'm going to rig it, I'm going to pull it anyway. I just want to convey to you guys, my whole life and career has been about two priorities in the fire service. That's saving lives and saving property. Those are our two oaths. They never change. They're always the same. We are applying the same application to you guys as tow operators. And as all I can tell you is these are the consequences that are potentially associated with not doing a proper shutdown and not properly assessing the vehicle will absolutely, for real, potentially cost lives and completely destroy your property. If an EV bursts into flames on the back of your rig, I promise you your rig is totaled. And I promise you, if you didn't comply, you're going to be hard pressed to come out of that unscathed, in a protected manner. Same thing at your property. If you don't store it properly, it can absolutely burn down your entire yard, burn down your facilities, burn down everything. And God forbid you're towing that thing down the middle of an interstate in 5 lanes of traffic, and it starts shooting out blowtorches with a motorcycle and a minivan next to it with a mom and 3 kids.
And that's why we have you on here, to let everybody know where they can get the training. We are so thankful for you guys to be here, for the subject matter expert information that you bring to us tonight. Thank you so much.
And a wise man once said, the training never stops.
That's right. Hey, if I can just shout out one more thing. If I can leave the towing operator with one thing, it's that you and you alone are the one who can make the decisions that are going to take you home safely at the end of every shift. If anybody's sat through one of my classes, they're going to know that is the focus, whether we're talking about rigging, whether we're talking about resistance, whatever we're talking about. It all leads up to this fact that only you can make the decision that's going to take you home safely. And in the context of EVs, it's all about knowledge, folks. If I could just ask you to do one thing, it's be conscious of the attitude that you make the decisions that you make. And don't let anyone else make the decision for you that's going to take you home safely. I love every one of you. I love my job and I love my industry. And if you're anything like me, you want to do it as long as you can. So please, folks, make the decisions, be responsible for your actions, and only you can make the decision that's going to take you home safely to the ones that love you and need you.
Absolutely. Very wise words. So we can find you, gentlemen. Casey, recmaster.com.
Yeah. The Recmaster website. My Facebook is an open channel. Anything I post on there is
and Tom Parps loves you, and we all love Tom Parps as well. Gotta give him a shout out while we're here.
Monkey 47, Tom.
And Dalan, how can we get I know we threw the number up here as well, but you want to throw out the ESA info one more time?
Yep, guys, it's energysecurityagency.com. Go to the website, get registered on there so that we can start helping you guys out. You can call the 855 ESA SAFE number anytime you need, emergent or direct answers and guidelines. And you can reach us through, other contact us forms and everything else on the website as well.
Awesome. And so you guys got a class coming up Friday, June 24th, 8-hour in-person hybrid EV class in Louisville. I said that right? Louisville. Followed by a level 4-5 class later that week or the following weekend.
Yeah, the same weekend. So the ESA course is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for a level 4-5.
Fantastic. You can catch Shelly and I this weekend in Frankenmuth, Michigan at the Michigan Tow Picnic. That is Saturday, June 11th. You can catch Shelly and myself and the rest of our team at the Fort Worth Tow Expo in Dallas, Fort Worth, June 16, 17, 18. We'll be at booth number 625. I know there'll be a Recmaster booth and an ESA booth there as well. Gentlemen, we would love to see you there. If you're not going to be there, I know your representatives will be there, and we will all have a great time. And we're looking forward to a really big show this year. So we are looking forward to all of that. You can also check us out. You can check out the Get Hooked podcast. That's honkforhelp.com/explore/get-hooked. We need to shorten that URL. That's ridiculous. Who's in charge of that? We're going to see. Got to give one last shout out to Angela Roper. Also got to give one last shout out to Tom Parbs and the Hustle Alert crew. If we're talking safety, that's a conversation. Yeah, it's a safety. Right. That's a safety conversation you should absolutely have. I'm going to charge Tom for this spot right now.
Yeah, get the Safety Cloud, folks. Get the Safety Cloud.
Yeah, check out the Safety Cloud stuff. They're doing some great stuff. Recmaster.com. We got ESA. And if you want to be a Honk partner, if you have more information about your account, anything else, head on over to joinhonk.com. Any questions, go on that purple help button. My team is available, staffed Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 Pacific, to answer all of your account questions. Anything else you may have, get in touch with us. We love you guys. We love you all. And there we go. Tom, booth 812. Tom doesn't even need a booth. Everybody knows sound. Everybody runs around and finds it. You can also check out our social media at Honk for Help. Otherwise, have a great week, folks. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the ditch.
See you in the ditch.